What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. The road to predict all 136 FBS level college football teams has now taken us to College Station, Texas. We are talking about the Texas A&M Aggies out of the SEC, and this is a team that feels ready to get back on top of the toughest conference in college football. My name is Nate Pope, otherwise known as Tailgate Nate. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and for helping to support the channel. If you would like to support me and the channel even further, well, there are plenty of ways to do that, but for starters, you're already here on YouTube. Do what it says down below me. Go down below, hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, you might as well ring the bell because turning on notifications will ensure that you don't miss an upload, especially not during prediction season, and especially not of your favorite team. I'm a sports media graduate delving into the professional world of the industry, and if you want to see all the cool stuff I get to do while still keeping up to date for what goes on this very YouTube channel, please give me a follow. It's at TailgateNate29 on Twitter or X and Instagram, and you can even email me, tailgatenate29@gmail.com. Thank you all so much for supporting and interacting with me and this channel, however you may be doing so. With all that said and nothing out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Texas A&M Aggies here in 2025. How do we do preview predictions here on the channel? Well, we're going to go through Mike Elko's group just like this. There's going to be a roster preview in which the offense is going to be to the left of me, as you see it on screen. The right of me in real life, the left of me on screen. It's confusing. To the left, you'll see your offense. To the right, you'll see your defense. And after the roster overview, we'll look at the Texas A&M football schedule, give it a game-by-game preview and prediction, and we'll tell you what I think about the Aggies this season. Looking to break a pattern, looking to get back on top of the SEC. Second-year head man Mike Elko might just very well be the guy for the job. Before we go ahead and dive on into everything surrounding me, right down below, returning production numbers are courtesy of ESPN, and they just give you a pretty general idea of the type of talent that Texas A&M has, as well as your recruiting and portal ranks. They are both courtesy of 24/7 Sports and lay out the class at 2025. 72% returning production. That's one of the top marks in the country for Texas A&M, and they got a lot of really nice talent that's going to set them off really well here in 2025. We will start with the offense, and your offensive coordinator is Colin Klein. Marcel Reed. Let's talk about him for a little bit, shall we? Marcel Reed ended up being that main man at quarterback last season. Once everything was said and done, Connor Weigman was taken over, or I should say started off the year in that role. Then he had injury problems. Then they decided to switch to Marcel Reed. They battled back and forth. It ended up landing with Marcel Reed, and at the end of the day, was that top quarterback for you last year. 1,864 yards. That's 1,864. 15 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Connor Weigman did not live up to that level of production or efficiency, as Marcel Reed's completion percentage point was about almost 5 percentage points higher, 5 full percentage points higher than what Connor Weigman was able to shell out last season. Marcel Reed, also a pretty dynamic runner, had 547 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground as a dual threat quarterback. Mike Elko and company believes he is the guy. Colin Klein, your offensive coordinator, believes he's the guy. And I'm sure all the Aggie fans watching this video believe Marcel Reed is the guy. There were a lot of flashes of brilliance last season. Consistency will be the key for him this year. But if he puts it all together, he can be one of the top quarterbacks that the conference has to offer. He is a bona fide grade A talent. And I think he can provide some really good things in a Colin Klein-led offense. Now, the running back unit, let's talk about it. Fully intact from last season. Le'Veon Moss, 765 yards and 10 touchdowns last season, averaged 6.3 yards per carry. He is coming back off of an injury that happened really, really late last season. So you're going to be getting him back, which is absolutely huge. Same thing with Amari Daniels, 661 yards and 8 touchdowns. Actually led the team in carries, and Marcel Reed had over 100 tries himself as well. You even want to tack on some more depth. There are plenty more pieces back there in that wide receiver room. Ruben Owens being a big one, as well as E.J. Smith. This is a running back room that at very least can go 3 deep with Le'Veon Moss, Reuben Owens, and Amari Daniels. E.J. Smith very well could be a guy that gets a carry here and there, but watch out for those 3 guys, in my opinion, especially with Moss and Daniels, especially with as much experience as they got last year, and with how talented Le'Veon Moss is as a tailback for this unit. Herein lies the problem with this Texas A&M offense, and it's where the 70% returning production number is not higher. It's because your top 5 pass catchers from last season, wide receiver, tight end, doesn't matter, they're all gone. They go as follows. Noah Thomas, he's going to be gone. He's entered the transfer portal off to a new program. Jabari Barber is gone. Apologies for mispronunciations. Ja'Day Walker is over with the Chicago Bears. Cyrus Allen, he is gone. And then your tight end that was 4th on that list, Trey Watson, he is over with the Kansas City Chiefs. All 5 of those guys gone. No longer on this team. You're going to have to try to find replacements for that production. Well, Terry Bussey is a true sophomore that comes back, but in terms of returners, this is a wide receiver room that is really, really young. Terry Bussey, my apologies. Terry Bussey, the true sophomore, is the most experienced player returning to this wide receiver room that will play a significant impact for you. So what did A&M do? They went into the transfer portal. KC or Kevin Concepcion, 460 yards and 6 touchdowns last season at NC State, but 2023 was where he really shined. 839 yards and 10 touchdowns on 11.8 yards per carry, and had 320 yards rushing as a wide receiver. That's a phenomenal pickup. Mario Craver is coming over here as well from Mississippi State. And then you're also getting another transfer to enter this room in Jonah Wilson. Jonah Wilson is coming over from Houston, where, again, fairly solid player. He'll come over and be a really, really big part to this offense pretty much right away as a second string guy. So you have to rebuild a little bit through the portal, but I think Concepcion is a phenomenal transfer pickup. He probably should be that lead target for Marcel Reed this year, but replacing that much talent, let's just see what the offense looks like here for Texas A&M, as well as your tight end room. Again, it is rebuilding. You are going to be losing that lead tight end. Again, he is in Kansas City. Amari Nyblack, though, is transferring in. He is formerly of Alabama, where he did have his best season as a member of the Crimson Tide in 2023. 327 yards and 4 touchdowns, averaged 16.4 yards per catch. Last year with Texas, only 5 catches, but obviously you had Gunnar Helm in that room as well. Amari Nyblack will be that primary tight end for you this season, and then there are a bunch of more guys that come into this room as well. Here is where that returning production really does stand pat, though. All 5 starters on the offensive line are going to be coming back, and 6 offensive linemen total are on this team with at least 300 snaps. I know I say this about quite a bit of units, and I've said it already, and this is only video number 20, I do believe. This is truly a deep and experienced unit. You got to cut me some slack here. The S and the D key are very, very close together, and typos happen. No, kidding. Apologies for that. They are a deep and experienced unit here with this Texas A&M team. I really, really like this offense. How do they pick up the production in the wide receiver room? To me, that is the biggest question. I think they got a lot of home run transfers, but again, they're going to need some of their younger guys that have sat back in this room, maybe for a year or two, and really be able to step it up. In fact, honestly, a year, I think, is the closest anyone else has been. But regardless, the portal pieces, I think you got to deliver. And Craver and even the likes of, oh my goodness, the other transfer. I'll figure out his name here in 1 second. Jonah Wilson. That's it. Don't know why I couldn't think of it. So sorry to Jonah Wilson. They got to be able to step up in bigger roles. Again, as do a lot of the pieces that return to this team. Defensively, almost pointed the wrong way. Again, it's reversed for me. Let's talk about Jay Bateman's group. A promising year 1 under Jay Bateman. Again, first-year defensive coordinator with a first-year head coach in Mike Elko from last season. It's got to evolve here in year 2. Not that it was particularly bad last season, but there are a lot of ways that the defense can get better. And it is losing a lot of really good talent this season, starting out with the defensive line. Phenomenal talents. Nick Scowerton, 35 tackles, 5 sacks, led the team in that latter department off the edge last season. You're also going to be losing both Shamars. They are both going to be gone. Shamar Turner is with the Chicago Bears, and Shamar Stewart is with the Cincinnati Bengals. So both guys, first name Shamar, that were on the D-line last year, are off to the pros. Cassius Howell, however, he is coming back, and that's a really big boost. Was your leading tackler as far as defensive linemen go last season, 40 tackles, and wasn't too far behind Nick Scourton, had 4 sacks last season as a true defensive lineman. And then others are going to be returning. You're going to hope to increase that pass rush activity. You only had 25 sacks last year. I think that's a number you definitely want to get better. One of the many ways this defense can improve from a season ago. But you pair Cassius Howell with a couple really big transfers. TJ Searcy is coming over from Florida. That's a big addition. My apologies. Tyler Onyedim, apologies for mispronunciations. He's transferring over to this program as well, over from Iowa State. You're getting, again, a lot very important pieces back to the D-line room. Could be a pretty good, solid, deep group. It'll be led by Cassius Howell. Your dynamic linebacking duo in Torian York and Scooby Williams both come back here to this team. Again, some massive returners, especially in the back 7 for this Aggie defense, as you're about to learn with the secondary as well. But York, 82 tackles, 2.5 sacks, did have a pick as well. The likes of Scooby Williams, 43 tackles, 4 pass defended, had a pick last season as well. In fact, returned it for a 32-yard gain, set up the offense really well. That is some massive returns, and then plenty of blue chip freshmen come into this 9th overall ranked recruiting class in the linebacking role. You're going to have Noah McHale, the 129th ranked player according to 24/7 Sports, enter this room. And then the other freshman that could see a little bit of significant playing time there as well is an edge rusher, more so a true defensive lineman, but I didn't talk about him then, so I'll talk about him now. It is Marco Jones. So there you go. Some good freshmen entering, really good duo. Going to be a good linebacking room for A&M. Secondary depth looks amazing. Let's read off some secondary names, shall we? Des Ricks, Dalton Brooks, Bryce Anderson, Will Lee, Marcus Ratcliffe, Miles Davis, Javen Thomas, Tyreek Chappell, and I'm only talking about guys that are returning. You got a pair of transfers in here as well. Jordan Shaw was amazing at Washington. He'll be amazing here as a nickelback for Texas A&M. And then Julian Humphrey transfers in, I believe, from Georgia to go play as a corner for you. The depth looks great. Your top 3 tacklers are all back. Again, many more key players. The transfers come in. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty darn solid secondary unit for Aggieland as well. At least it should be. And kickers are people too. Let's talk about the special teams unit. Not much change. Everyone is coming back within the special teams unit for Texas A&M. So, what is all of this to say? Well, if Marcel Reed can make that next jump and, be that guy that Texas A&M thinks he's going to be, I think you got yourself a really good quarterback there, and the defensive front's going to need to replace some pieces. The wide receiver room is going to need to replace a couple pieces, but with a guy in Mike Elko that is a demander, a guy that just encourages improvement year upon year, I think you're going to see some improvement for Aggieland. Will it improve record-wise? Well, you don't have to wait any longer to find out, because here is the 2025. Why did 2022 come in my head? A lot of twos. 2025 football schedule for Texas A&M is sitting right over here. But before we dive into this, let's look right down below me here. Odds courtesy of FanDuel. No, not telling you to go place your money, but it is just some nice context to see how odds makers feel about Texas A&M entering this season. Well, plus 1,500 odds to win the SEC. That's got to be pretty high up on that board, I would imagine. I'll get you where they exactly sit here in just a little bit. But as far as their odds to win the national championship, they look pretty solid as well. Plus 3,500, meaning if a lot of things go the way of Texas A&M this season, they're probably looking at a college football playoff spot, maybe even a shot to go win a national championship. They have the 6th best odds, according to FanDuel, to go win the SEC. That win total is stand pat at 7.5. As of recording this video, again, these odds are subject to change. But let's go ahead and dive on into this football schedule. Now, you got 2 games right off the bat. Little pick-me-up games. See exactly what you have in Marcel Reed if you don't know already, or at least, see what he has with a lot of the newer weapons around him, specifically at the wide receiver and tight end room, and really get this defense to, find its groove early on. UTSA is going to be a win, and then Utah State is going to be a win this season as well. But then the challenges really start to come at you, and they come at you really fast. Week 3, you got to go on the road and play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This was a team in Notre Dame that came into Kyle Field in Aggieland last year and was able to pull off the win. They were able to pull it off. And this season, well, it's going to be a little bit of a different Notre Dame team in some ways, but it's going to be the same philosophy. They're going to hit you hard. They're going to play physical defense, and they're going to pound the rock. Big reason of that, Jeremiah Love is coming back. One of the best in the business, was sensational at Notre Dame last season. Your wide receiver room that was very young last season, or have been very young for the past couple of seasons, gets some experience transfers in Malachi Fields, who's going to be outstanding, and Will Pauling to pair along with a freshman Elijah Burgess, Jordan Faison, Jane Greathouse, true juniors, going to take that next step this season. This defense has just stars written all over it. Jordan Botello at the Viper position, Drake Bowen as a linebacker, Christian Gray as a corner, Adon Schuler, Leonard Moore, even a transfer from Alabama to play nickel for you in Devontae Smith. This is Marcus Freeman's first chance to really develop a quarterback in CJ Carr. He has got a test against Miami week 1, but I think he's going to settle in pretty quickly. He's got a lot of good talent around him, and this is the Notre Dame defense that I think is going to hit Texas A&M really, really hard. So for that reason, I do believe that, why didn't it show up? There it is. I do believe that Notre Dame is going to beat Texas A&M this college football season. Just too much physicality, and I think a little bit too much talent for the Aggies to handle there as well. Notre Dame hands Texas A&M their first loss of the season and defeats the Aggies for the second straight year. You do get your bye week to recoup after that, which I think is good. You take some time, you look at what worked in film, you look at what didn't work in film, and then you get ready for this matchup against Auburn. Auburn is a team to me that when I take a look at this depth chart, I just see talent all across the field. They have to be better than they've been the past couple of seasons, and I think they will be with Jackson Arnold coming in at quarterback. As long as he's able to adjust some things and improve from his days at Oklahoma last season, I think you're going to have yourself a really good quarterback there in Auburn. Jackson Arnold, if he hits, could really fix these Auburn Tigers quarterback woes. Some really good transfers come in, including Eric Singleton as a wide receiver over from Georgia Tech. The defense has talent returning all around it, and it's young, it's experienced. But I do think Texas A&M is going to be able to get Auburn here in this game. I think Marcel Reed going to be a little bit too dynamic for the entirety of this Auburn defense to handle. And after that Notre Dame game, you're going to figure out some things that work. And I do believe that Texas A&M going to be Auburn there in week 5 to start out a 3-game homestand for the Aggies in week 6 against Mississippi State. I just don't think it's going to be that great of a year for Jeff Lebby's group. I didn't love the hire when they got him. I know Mississippi State fans are like, who else could you have hired? Probably no one, but that doesn't mean I have to like it, right? And Mississippi State has really struggled the past couple of seasons, and I just see it being another struggle of a season for the Bulldogs. Should be a pretty comfortable win for the Aggies here in Kyle Field, and then you get this game against Florida. Now, in Kyle Field, Texas A&M has still got all the level of talent that Florida does, if not more. You definitely could argue that, and you're going to have two very dynamic quarterbacks here on the field. You're going to have Marcel Reed, you're going to have DJ Lagway, two guys that have some really, really good talent surrounding them, and the Aggies may very well pose the better defensive side, but I'm going with Florida here. Florida's going to do some things in this game that I feel like are going to be able to get to Texas A&M. Specifically, I don't know if they're going to be able to contain DJ Lagway, and I think Florida has got a lot more it's got a lot more answers than questions when you compare them to Texas A&M. You take a look at this wide receiver room. Khalil Jackson, Eugene Wilson. Yeah, they're going to have to step up. I think they're really talented. J. Michael Sturdivant adds some good fortitude and experience, and Jaden Ball as your tailback is set for a sophomore breakout season. The defense, much like Texas A&M, returns a lot of heavy hitters, and you could argue even more so than what A&M returns this season, but again, like I said, I think A&M poses the better defensive side, which very well is what it could come down to here. This is just one of those games where I got a pretty solid feeling that Florida's going to be able to take this one on the road. Florida has got a tough schedule, and there's too much talent on that team for them to not win at least one road game, and at very least not a big game on their schedule. This is going to be a big game for Florida. I think the Gators get it done, and Texas A&M loses their second game of the season. Not off to a bad start, though. If you can win out, which is going to be a lot easier said than done, you can still have a good shot there to go maybe play for an SEC title, maybe go play for a college football playoff spot, and you're going to start that second half off pretty well. Arkansas has got some pretty solid weapons. Now, this game not being played in Arlington this year, as it had been for I think the past 2, 3, 4, maybe even more seasons. And Taylon Green coming back is going to be a huge boost for this Arkansas team. I just don't think they have enough weapons specifically to get past this A&M secondary. Even their linebacking core going to be really hard to break into the second and third levels for the Razorbacks in this game. And I think Aggieland gets the win on the road. They were on a 3-game homestand. Now you get a 3-game road stint in the second leg of a back-to-back before your bye week. Is this game against LSU. And I think the Tigers are going to be a really good football team this season. Garrett Nussmeier coming back. You get your lead target, Aaron Anderson, back. You pair him with Nick Anderson from Oklahoma and Berrien Brown from Kentucky. Yeah, those are two phenomenal players, much like Florida with Jaden Baugh, Caden Durham at LSU, a sophomore. Breakout season is surely on the horizon for him, and I think they got a little bit more defensive talent than what Texas A&M has, and that defense under Blake Baker expected to take another jump in year 2. All that to say, I think LSU a little bit more talented. You're playing in Baton Rouge. They win that game against Texas A&M, but A&M after their bye week going to bounce back nicely and beat Missouri. Brady Cook is gone. Luther Burden is gone. A ton of heavy hitters on defense are gone, and while Missouri does, fairly solid job at being able to recoup that talent through the transfer portal, I just don't see Missouri being as talented as they have been in previous seasons. Eli Drinkwitz, I think, has proven himself, and Missouri could be a team that surprises. I say could. They won't surprise in this game. Texas A&M does beat Missouri on the road. You get this game against South Carolina coming up next, and I don't think I can understate at this point, the way I've projected the season, how big of a game this would be for both teams. I have South Carolina coming off a loss at Ole Miss. They're going to look to keep their college football playoff hopes alive. Aggieland is going to look to, try to fight for as much of an at-large bid as they're going to be able to get, and I think they can continue in that fight. South Carolina is going to be a very dangerous team. Lenora Sellers and Nick Harbor, that's a quarterback wide receiver combo, I think are going to be really, really lethal this year. Running back room should be solid, and the defense returns a ton in the secondary. I just do think Texas A&M going to have the fight, going to have the command, especially that home field advantage. If this was in Columbia, I tell you right now, I would be picking South Carolina, but it's not. It's in College Station. Give me the Aggies to win that one. They'll beat Samford in week 13, easy FCS win, and then I do think you're losing to Texas in that final week. Quite simply put, Texas is a really, really talented football team. Arch Manning is going to be coming in to play quarterback for you this season, and he is just dynamic. He was there last year, showed a lot of good stuff for the Longhorns, and yeah, he's going to show even more good stuff for Texas this year. The wide receiver room is great. The running back room is great. The defense is great. You can't find a hole with this Texas team. They beat Texas A&M last year on the road. They'll get the job done at home, leading a very familiar sight for Aggie fans, 8-4. It kind of leaves you scratching your head a little bit, right? But there are a lot of tough games up on this schedule. The question about Texas A&M is, will they break through? Duke really never broke through under Mike Elko. They never had that absolutely spectacular season. They were close to having one, I believe, in 2022. Yes, in 2022. But this is a Texas A&M team that I think will get it figured out. I think Mike Elko's the right guy for the job. I think this is a Texas A&M team that, look, they still hit their over on their win total according to FanDuel. I know that's not going to make Aggie fans feel any better about the way I am predicting this season. They got a lot of talent, replacing a lot on some sides. Let's see how it all works out for the Aggies this season, but a tough schedule and just some tough road games this season is why I have the Aggies there at 8-4, and I think they'll lose one game at home because you got Auburn, Florida, South Carolina. I think all three of those teams, when everything's working right, capable of beating Texas A&M. Let me know what you guys think about the Aggies in the comment section below. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Be back with another video later on today. Goodbye.